All right. So thank you everyone for joining me this morning. I am Rita Hockey with Choose DuPage, and I just want to start today with telling you a little about who we are. So Choose DuPage is all about business attraction, business retention, and business growth for DuPage County. So that sums up everything we do. Two programs we have specifically I do want to talk about that fall under retention and growth, and they have been partially funded by DuPage County. Connect DuPage, which is the business-to-business connections we're fostering and promoting. We have a portal on our website, choosedupage.com. You can register your business, so you will enter a profile. But then we also have those profiles available for you to search for local business to do business with. So I encourage you all to review our portal so you can buy locally. Of course, we want to support DuPage County businesses, and then also create your profile. Should only take a couple minutes at best. We are doing educational events, and so continue to be on the watch out at choosedupage.com for our events page, because we will do various how to do business with. We have mental health for small business coming up August 6th. So monitor our website. We also have Sustainable DuPage, which is promoting positive environmental impacts and reducing negative. How we have done that a couple different ways. We are doing some customized green business assessments. We still have some spots available if any businesses are interested. We will come out and we will do a site visit, and we will create a report of recommendation based on what we see. There are no requirements to the program. We just want to encourage our DuPage County businesses to consider moving towards more sustainability. We do have a green business checklist for those who maybe want to do a self-assessment, and so that is available as well. And again, we are doing educational events. Wavicle Data Solutions, who is presenting today, will be doing a sustainability webinar for us September 18th. Watch our website so you can register for that webinar. That is it from me. So Ed, I am going to turn it over to you. So now I'd like to welcome Ed Coronado with Wavicle Data Solutions, who is going to be our expert today. Go ahead, Ed.
Thank you very much, Rita. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you very much, Choose DuPage. I'm really excited to be here on the call this morning, speaking with you about demand forecasting and AI solutions. Before I get started here, let me share my screen. And I think you should all be able to see this now.
We do, Ed.
Great, thank you. So thanks again for your time this morning. I will take about 20 to 25 minutes to speak about the presentation here, and I'll leave some time at the end for any questions you may have. If you do come up with any questions that you want to drop in the chat, please do so, and I will get them to at the end of the presentation. But as I mentioned before, my name is Ed Coronado. I'm a principal data solution architect at Wavicle Data. I've been in the data space for over 25 years. So in those 25 years, I've seen and done a lot of things in various industries, including manufacturing. We're very grateful to be here today to be able to speak with you about AI and demand forecasting. So today's topic for our discussion is innovative forecasting strategies, leveraging new data sources and AI for demand forecasting. So this is really demand forecasting solutions for manufacturing companies, but this can be applied to different industries as well. So let's get started here, and let's go over what the topic list is for today, and we'll get started. So these are the 5 topics we're going to cover this morning. We're going to talk about the causes and impacts of inaccurate demand forecasting models. Our second topic is building an accurate forecasting program and how modern models differ from traditional models. The third topic is ways AI, machine learning, and your business data can be leveraged for efficient and effective forecasting. Our fourth topic is the role of uncertainty in smart forecasting practices and ways to embrace it. And the fifth and final topic is how to build a demand forecasting program that addresses your needs. And we'll go over just an outline of how you can build your own demand forecasting product and program. So let's get started. So what I'd like to do first is talk a little bit about demand forecasting. So demand forecasting is a process which enables demand and business strategy teams a method to estimate individual areas of the supply chain journey. So one of the first areas here is customer demand for products. So we want to talk about what products are your customers interested in and what's in demand. The second range here is pricing of products. How are you currently pricing your products? Is pricing relative to your competitors' offerings, or are you pricing based on a percentage of your total cost? Our next bullet here is raw material suppliers. How do you identify, evaluate, select, and manage your suppliers? Inventory levels. Do you have an inventory plan to meet your demand? Transportation. What is the appropriate, cost-effective, and efficient mode to transport your products? What are the best routes? Who are your top delivery partners? Lastly, here is production and staffing. Does your production plan, is it flexible enough to accommodate increased product demand? Can you determine the required resources to execute production and meet your quality control standards? So these are just some of the areas that demand forecasting can help. There are many other areas, but I just wanted to highlight on a couple today that are specific to manufacturing. So let's set the stage a little bit for new forecasting demands. Demand forecasting accuracy over the past 3 years has been highly inaccurate due to external factors that impact manufacturers' businesses. So as disruptive factors like climate change, geopolitical conflicts, and the need to realign supply chains, all this has impacted manufacturers. So there's little possibility of returning to the old state of normal. So 3 years of disruption have really cleared the way for a new outlook on demand. So let's start with our first topic. So what are the causes and impacts of inaccurate demand forecasting models? So as you'll see here, you'll see two columns here. One is the cause, one is the impact. There's no relation between each one of these bullets. It's just a series of bullet points that I'm going to talk about a little bit about here. So one of the causes of inaccurate forecasting demands, and we try to rank them in a little bit of an order here. So insufficient or inaccurate data. This really seems to be the highest one that we see come across. So demand forecasting heavily relies on historical data that can include sales records, customer behavior patterns, market trends. And if your data isn't complete, it's outdated, or has a lot of quality issues, it can definitely lead to forecasting errors. So another cause is ignoring external factors, such as economic conditions, competitor actions, regulatory changes, and seasonality can impact demand. Another cause is over-reliance on past trends. So while historical data is essential, solely relying on past trends without considering potential shifts in consumer behavior or market dynamics can result in inaccurate and inadequate predictions. Another cause is lack of collaboration. So this is really part of the company culture that takes place. So collaboration between different departments where knowledge and data is siloed. So you're talking about potentially sales departments, marketing and operations departments, not collaborating and not communicating. But it's crucial that they all collaborate and share information and knowledge so that you can create and calculate accurate demand forecasting. So lack of communication and information sharing can lead to misaligned forecasts. And the last cause we see here is inadequate forecasting techniques. So using outdated or inappropriate forecasting methods can lead to inaccurate results. What are the impacts of some of these inaccurate models? First one is excess or shortage of inventory. So inaccurate forecasts can result in excess inventory, which can lead to additional carrying costs or potential obsolescence or inventory shortages, which can result in lost sales, dissatisfied customers, or missed opportunities. Our second impact is increased costs. So as I mentioned before, inaccurate forecasts can lead to unexpedited shipping, rush orders, and additional production runs to meet this unexpected demand. Poor customer service. So stockouts and delays due to inaccurate forecasts can negatively impact customer satisfaction and your brand reputation. Another impact is missed opportunities. So inaccurate forecasts can cause businesses to miss out on potential sales and revenue opportunities. And lastly, inefficient resource allocation. So inaccurate forecasts can lead to misallocation of resources such as labor, production capacity, and transportation. And this can negatively impact overall efficiency. Let's move on to our next slide. So challenges of inaccurate forecasting. So relying on the past as a prediction of the future, what's known as deterministic forecasting, is no longer good enough. 54% rate of planning errors, meaning more than half of manufacturers' forecasts were wrong. So this is actually resulting in a 33% rise in extreme errors, where shipments either exceeded or fell short of forecast by 2 times. So by increasing your forecasting accuracy, you can increase revenue by 3% and reduce your inventory cost by 5%. This is what we've seen not only in our experience, but as well as reaching out across the industry to understand what the norms are out there. So how can we work with this? What do we do about this? So our second topic here is building an accurate forecasting program and how it differs where the modern models different from traditional models. So manufacturers do face a variety of technical and organizational challenges with traditional demand forecasting programs and solutions. So number one, traditional data forecasting, demand forecasting techniques can't keep up with evolving markets. Why is that? Well, models are slow. Older traditional models are limited. So another bullet point here is generating, evaluating, and implementing models is time consuming. And you do need expertise on your team, and you do need time to develop your demand forecasting models. Developing, managing, and adopting new models requires expertise. You may not have that in-house. You may have to outsource it, but you may have to hire staff for this. Software-based forecasting tools often come with perpetual licensing fees. So take, for example, you purchase a piece of software off the shelf to run your demand forecasting program. You're using it, and you determine after a period of time that you no longer wish to have this anymore. You no longer wish to use it. Well, number one, it's really hard to decouple the knowledge that you've built into this tool or your program from the tool itself. So pretty much if you sever the relationship, you lose part of your knowledge, you use part of the work that you've done in the past. It can be expensive at times. Another issue here is teams may have difficulty scaling their forecasting models. We're going to talk a little bit more about this coming up on the next slide. And typical forecasting tools offer little transparency and or flexibility. So how do modern models versus traditional models differ here? So we actually broke this down into 5 key areas. And for each key area, we're going to discuss the modern versus the traditional model approach. So data and algorithms is the first one we're going to look into. So modern models can leverage advanced algorithms, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, and large language models like we see today, like ChatGPT. And these use sales data, third-party data, social media, macroeconomic, and weather data. Traditional models use simple statistical models like moving averages and linear regression that only uses historical sales data. Another area for review here is adaptability. Modern models are more adaptability due to automatically adjusting forecasts in near real time So that means you can stream your data in near real time to the models, and the models can be working round the clock. And machine learning models can improve over time with more use and with more data. Traditional models are less adaptable to changes in market conditions or demand fluctuations, simply because traditional models may only run once a day or twice a day, or whenever you update your data. So it's limited. Another key area is accuracy. So modern models achieve higher accuracy because they leverage more data. They can use sophisticated algorithms while adapting to evolving conditions. And here's one of the hidden benefits. Machine learning can uncover hidden patterns and relationships in the data that aren't really easily visible to the human eye. Whereas traditional models, they may struggle to capture seasonality of your products, promotional events, or other external factors, simply because they don't have access to that data. The next key area is explainability. Modern models are more complex and difficult to interpret, especially deep learning models. So imagine the human brain being a neural network model, and you may have a billion different neurons firing off in your brain, and there's all these connections going on. That's typically what's happening in a deep learning model. They're trying to make connections between what you smell, what you see, and what you reason. That's the same thing that's trying to be replicated inside this deep learning model. And it's hard to explain that. So in a traditional model, it's easier to explain these traditional models because they're simpler mathematical formulas. So they're real easy to understand, to interpret, and explain. The last key area is scalability. So modern models are designed to be more scalable, simply because they leverage cloud computing resources and large data sets. They can generate forecasts a lot faster with a lot more data at a lower cost. While traditional models cannot scale to address larger data sets or complex models. You may have to invest in fixed costs if you're not on the cloud. It's much harder to build everything on premise. It makes it more challenging, where modern models are really, you can scale up as you need, or as the need requires. You can spin it up to a large model, a large operating resource set, calculate what you need, and then spin everything down to minimize your costs. So it's on-demand costs. So let's head down next to our next topic here, which is ways AI, ML, and business data can be leveraged for efficient, effective forecasting. So I'm going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner where it says advanced data analysis, and we're going to go around the circle here. So one of the key areas here that we're going to talk about is advanced data analysis and pattern recognition. So machine learning algorithms can ingest vast amounts of historical business data to identify patterns, trends, correlations that are not apparent to the humans. This enables us to be more accurate and be able to predict future demand, sales, and other business metrics more effectively. We can leverage different machine learning models for time series forecasting. And these are specifically designed to analyze time series data over time, larger data sets, more data points, all at one time. Another benefit here is anomaly detection. So by leveraging AI, you can identify unusual patterns or outliers in your data, which is really key. You can also alert businesses to potential issues or opportunities that may impact forecasting. Another hidden benefit here is you can leverage this to identify any data quality issues you have within your data and plan to remediate the data before you actually use the data in your demand forecasting program. So moving on to the second bullet, incorporating external data. I can't stress enough how data is probably the linchpin of all demand forecasting here. You need good quality data that's clean, free of errors, so that you can leverage more data and span it across your enterprise and build more reliable forecasts for different needs and different business use cases across your enterprise. So you can integrate market data. which includes economic indicators, competitor actions, social media sentiment. You can enhance the accuracy of forecasts by providing a broader content and context to your data and to your problem. Weather data. For businesses which are affected by weather conditions, you can incorporate weather data, and it can significantly improve your demand forecasting for products or sensitive or services which are sensitive to weather changes. News and events. AI can analyze news articles and social media to gauge public sentiment and predict potential impacts on consumer behavior and demand. This is key now. That's why these newer models are able to do so much more, because they're able to ingest all this data and leverage different type of models to calculate your overall demand forecasting profile. Our next area here is real-time forecasting and adaptability. So dynamic models, machine learning models can continuously update forecasts in near real time as new data becomes available. So I'm sure you've seen when you're browsing on a website, if you're interested in looking at a specific product, you may get a pop-up that says, hey, buy now, we'll give you X% off. That's a machine learning model that's in the background that's calculating a lot of different real-time clicks of what you're doing on the page to be able to determine, hey, this person might have a higher propensity to purchase this product if I offer an incentive. And it's making this real-time decision on near real-time data. So how does this help? It allows businesses to respond quickly to ever-changing market conditions. Here's a real cool feature and highly beneficial feature of demand forecasting: scenario planning. So you can build your demand forecasting program to simulate scenarios. So you can build in levers inside of your program that's based on different input variables to kind of gauge, hey, what happens if I do this? So for example, let's say you're planning to, you really want to work to lower your productivity expense by 2%, and you want to increase revenues by 1%. And if you want to do part of that by maybe managing with your suppliers or your raw material vendors and see if you can negotiate that down, your cost by 1%, you can just literally pull the levers on your program and estimate the future of what your sales can be or what your future demand can be. So you're able to slide these levers up and down as you'd like to be able to calculate different scenarios. Our next topic here, portion here, is demand forecasting and inventory optimization. So accurate demand predictions. AI-powered forecasting models can accurately predict demand for products that can enable your business to optimize inventory levels, reduce stockouts, and minimize excess inventory costs. Price optimization. ML algorithms can analyze historical data, sales data, and pricing data to recommend optimal pricing strategies that maximize revenue and profitability. So as oftentimes you'll see that you may be able to price a product from one customer to another customer or a different type of customer. On the bottom here, you'll see this thing, this little caveat here: avoid overfitting the data. We'll come back to that later, but I just wanted to call it out right now. Another way that this AI can help you in ML, personalization and target marketing. So customer segmentation isn't something that's brand new. It's been around for a while. But AI can help you segment your customers based on behavior, preferences, and demographics that enable your businesses to tailor marketing campaigns or promotions for maximum impact. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have purchased online from different vendors. And those e-commerce sites in the background are segmenting their customers into, let's use 3 buckets: gold, silver, and bronze. And from the moment you're on one of their sites viewing some of their products, there may be an algorithm running in the background, some machine learning program or AI program running in the background, trying to calculate what bucket you fall into in one of these 3 here. And based on the calculation, the result, they may show you a different landing page. They may show you different products. They may also take that data and push you into a different marketing campaign. that is designed for either gold, silver, or bronze customers. And within those marketing campaigns, they may have additional campaigns that say, hey, how do I get my silver customer to go from silver to gold? Or conversely, from bronze to silver to gold. So each one you can customize these the AI and the patterns to build these marketing programs automatically behind the scenes. Another thing we can do here is recommendation engines. Machine learning powered recommendation systems can predict products or services. So think of Netflix. Whenever you go on Netflix, all these different potential programs you can watch or shows or movies are popping up based on a recommendation engine. So here are some additional areas where you can leverage AI and ML. Data quality. I've said it before, data quality is the key to a sound and effective and efficient demand forecasting program. So you're able to look at your data, find the data issues that you have, and build a plan to remediate the data errors that you have and improve the quality of your data. Businesses do need to invest in data collection, cleansing, and integration to ensure accurate predictions. So think of data as the gasoline you put in your engine to be able to run the models. So you need good quality data. Model selection and validation. So you need to choose the right machine learning model and validate its performance for reliable forecasting. So typically what you do is you'll look at 2 or 3 different models. You'll run your data through your each of the individual models. You compare the results then and say, hey, which one of these best fits what my business use case is? Okay. And prior to even doing the model selection, you need to have a really fully qualified business case of exactly what it is you're trying to do, not only for the business, what you're trying to do for your customer as well. How does a customer benefit from me doing this type of business use case and building this demand forecasting model? So there's 2 sides to the equation. So regular monitoring and updates may be required to maintain accuracy as well. Here's another big thing, ethical considerations. So when using AI for forecasting, it's important to address ethical concerns such as bias, privacy, and transparency. You may find that your data, the way you built it or designed your data model, may be biasing the results of an ML model. So things to consider here. So I want to talk a little bit about leveraging AI for demand forecasting solutions. So I know right now generative AI is the buzz in the marketplace right now. So AI does not revolve around Gen On. AI has been around for, I think, since the mid-50s. So it's going back a while. And there are different, each one of these little round circles here represents one of the buckets of artificial intelligence. So some of them we've already used in many of our businesses, whether it's rules-based calculation, rules-based decision-making in the background, or we use it to optimize our operations, or we use it for non-generative machine learning, or we use it to build knowledge graphs. So knowledge graphs are probably been around for about 20 years now, from far back as I can remember. They're really coming up in the marketplace now. You can do simulation with AI. So Gen AI is just one out of many practices. And the advantage of Gen AI is it's really designed to generate new content on its own. So what are the types of AI? There's artificial intelligence, which is a program that can sense, reason, act, and adapt. There's machine learning, which are algorithms whose performance improves over time with more data. There's deep learning, as I mentioned earlier, which is a subset of ML that leverages multi-layered neural networks that mimic the human brain. And then there's lastly generative AI, Gen AI, which is that has the ability to generate new content such as text, images, audio, all based on a data set or on a training objective. So Gen AI operates and it uses large language models in the background, like, well, let's think of ChatGPT. There's this large language model sitting in the background. You could ideally, if you wanted to, you could take the data that you have in your company, in your enterprise, be it from your ERP, your CRM, or your data warehouse, and build your own large language model and point your demand forecasting program to your own large language model. So moving on here, AI Inside. So I'm going to run through this very quickly. We'll go from the left to the right with the data being on the left-hand side and the results being on the right-hand side. So each one of these columns here represents something that's taking place with the data. So once you have the data, you want to pre-process the data to handle any missing data, deal with outliers, aggregate your data, and split your data. So when you're building a demand forecasting model, you don't just throw all of your data at the model. What you do is you split your data. It could be a 60-40, 70-30, or at most an 80-20 split of your data. And what that means is you take the larger portion of your split of data and you train your model, your machine learning model, on this data set. Once you gather those results, you then take that model and you run it on the remaining split of data that you have. And what you do at the end, when you have your tested versus your trained data results, you compare both. And this way, this allows you to see, hey, is this model really predicting and delivering the results which I needed to deliver? You're able to do time series decomposition up front. And importantly, you're able to clean, organize, and refine your historical data by removing any errors and any noise in your data or inconsistencies. Once you're here, you can split the data into two different tracks here. You can do you go into univariate time series models, which are, it calculates a single point of data for you. So you can use models like ARIMA that can identify trends, identify outliers, or handle missing data. Or you can do exponential smoothing on your data, which is weighted forecasting, which is simple and efficient. Or you can do multivariate time series models, which is doing forecasting on multiple data points. So you're throwing at many different data points to look at and calculate things. So in this here, you can use a model like DeepAR, which does some really intense data analysis in the background to understand autoregressive RNN and attention mechanisms, or MQRNN, which forks the data and trains the data on its own, and it does different forecasts and then brings them back together. And at this level, you're building estimates and range forecasts, and you're trying to ensure your accurate predictions and by providing an intelligence on what is the best model for your data. So it may be that you may use this model here and this model here and combine the results to build your own forecasted set of data that you'd like to see. Post this, you come to post-processing. So now you've got your forecast. You're able to consolidate the data from either one or more of these models here. You're able to do analysis of your forecast. You're able to do diagnostics on your models. You're able to evaluate your model and interpret your data with confidence. And then lastly, you can actually do, hey, this is where I built my forecast here. Here's my actual result of my of all this process is my forecast engine. Now I can slide those levers up and down to be able to look at my data effectively and plan for the future. Or you can gather insights, deep hidden insights from your data. So now we come to this fourth topic here, how to embrace uncertainty in demand forecasting. So there's really 5 areas here. You want to quantify uncertainty. So you use statistical methods to quantify a level of uncertainty with forecasts. There's no one solution that's going to give you a 100% correct answer. It's going to give you 90, 95, 98% reliability or close to 100% of the value, okay? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand what that uncertainty is. So you can do probabilistic forecasts and prediction intervals. Our second area here is scenario planning. So as I mentioned before, you can build scenarios based on different assumptions and future demand. So you can say, hey, I want to estimate what my demand costs are going to be, what my production costs are going to be if my production, my suppliers' costs or my raw material costs for this one part that I need goes up 2% or it goes up 3%. What does that do to my future demand? What does it do to my pricing, perhaps? It helps you identify risks and opportunities as well. Okay. Sensitivity analysis is another area. So you can analyze how changes in key variables impact the sensitivity of your forecast. You can help identify the drivers of uncertainty. Collaboration. So I can't stress enough how important it is to have collaboration between your different departments. Each department has what we refer to as tribal knowledge about a certain part of the business. It's important to get those departments sharing that knowledge across the floor here. This allows for a broader perspective on uncertainty and leads to more accurate forecasts. And lastly, continuous learning. So continuous review of the forecast performance. You can identify areas of improvement, update the models, or add new data sources. And lastly, how to build a demand forecasting program that addresses your needs. So number one, you have to start by defining your objectives and scope. You have to clearly define what your business use cases are. As I mentioned before, what's the benefit to the business? What's the benefit to the consumer? What's the scope? Are you going to look at just a product? You're going to look at a region? You're going to look at a near term versus long term? And as I'm trying to summarize this here, clearly define your business use case. Next part is, the second step is data collection. Identify your data sources, have good, clean, quality data, and have data integration to a centralized repository. So this way, all your data is landing in one central area that your machine model and your demand forecasting program can leverage. Third part here is choose a forecast model. So after you've identified your business requirements, you can look at statistical versus machine learning models. You evaluate the models, and you might find that you can use two models to really build a hybrid model to deliver the results that best fit your business. Model implementation and calibration. So you want to implement your model with software tools. So you're automating all of this. Splitting of the data, you also want to automate. Fine-tuning your model with parameters to improve accuracy. You want to do as much automation of this as possible. You want to avoid overfitting data. So we've seen in some cases where some users of demand forecasting, they'll try to really clean their data that fits the model. And this way, they're taking away one of the best features of ML, is you want the model to find the right fit for the data. It shouldn't be data fitting to the model. It should be the model fitting data. So you have to be careful about fitting the data. Next step is forecast generation. Generate your forecast for your defined scope and time. Always evaluate your accuracy and effectiveness. Integration and automation kind of goes and tied with this number 4 bullet here. So you want to integrate your forecasting program with CRM, ERP, or your inventory systems. So take, for example, you now take your universe of your customers. Let's say you have 100,000 customers, and you segment your customers into gold, silver, and bronze. After you've calculated this value, you could then bring this value back into your CRM or your ERP system. So always think about that reiterative nature of data. You're constantly working to improve the data. You're constantly working to improve your forecast. And some of this data that you're calculating can end up back inside of your source systems as well. You want to automate data collection, model updates, and forecast generation. And lastly, you want to monitor and continuously improve your models in your forecasting program. That may mean you tweak the models, or you add more data sources, or you improve your data sources. So some top demand forecasting use cases. I'm only going to go through a couple of this. I do have a list of a lot more of these cases, but number 1, inventory optimization. You can predict product demand. You can reduce carrying costs. Production planning. So you can align your production with anticipated demand, or you can optimize your production costs and reduce waste. Supply chain management. You can optimize transportation across different regions, or your warehouse capacity. You can reduce transportation costs and improve delivery times and improve customer satisfaction. Price optimization. You can implement dynamic pricing strategies or maximize revenue. Sales forecasting. You can set more realistic targets, allocate resources, improve your sales efficiency, or enhance sales forecasting. So these are just some really high-level demand forecasting use cases, but there are a slew more of these. So lastly, I'm going to come down here to this last slide. How can we as Wavicle help? So we're an advanced analytics and data science experts. We've known this for a long time. We have a lot of manufacturing industry experts on our team. I would guess that each one of our senior leaders in our company has 20 plus years experience in their given industry. So our demand forecasting solutions enable manufacturing leaders to improve their accuracy of their forecast and anticipate your inventory needs, optimize your operations for maximum efficiency. So this will lead to more accurate demand predictions. You can understand the likelihood of multiple outcomes and likely reduce your software and labor costs. And on that note, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. If you're interested in hearing more, please reach out to me or reach out to Wavicle, and we'll be more than happy to set up some time to speak with you. But thank you, Choose DuPage, and thank you, Rita. I really appreciate today's opportunity.
Thank you, Ed, for sharing that expertise. And I know I saw on your website that Wavicle can help businesses make a better informed decision. And I think that's what you showed us today. So thank you on behalf of DuPage County businesses. Today's webinar was brought to you as part of our Manufacturing Pro series. We will, again, as I've said a couple times already, check our website. We'll be having more webinars. Just as a reiteration, I will be sending out the presentation and the recording to all participants. So you will receive this hopefully before noon today, and it should happen. We do have time for questions. If you would like to unmute, feel free, you can do that. Otherwise, you can type it into the chat, and I am willing to act as the mediator for those.
Hi, Ed. How you doing? Glenn Mazade calling. Hey, great presentation. Really appreciate it. So I've got like a specific question on behalf of a business. You know, they have significant investment in inventory. They have long lead times on getting inventory, which are not domestically sourced. These are internationally sourced inventory. So there's long lead times to be able to extrude inventory, get it shipped, et cetera. And then this could take months, several months, 3 to 4 months, et cetera. So would a AI strategy be able to help in that kind of a situation? Again, a lot of what they do is kind of order based on, well, it's going to take us this period of time to bring in this inventory. We're going to need it because we're expecting there's going to be an uptick in demand for this particular, raw material, et cetera. It just seems like the company could manage that better, even with long lead time. So when you start factoring in those kinds of variables, does this provide much more significant benefit, or is there kind of less benefit? Hopefully I'm conveying what I really want to be able to convey.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Glenn. So great question here. So yeah, a couple of different areas. So number one, with demand forecasting and with AI, you can actually do perform an analysis of your suppliers. So we've done this for other customers in the manufacturing space, where you're actually able to look at all your different suppliers, and based on different data that you have currently within your enterprise, you're able to qualify and quantify a grade, we'll say, to each one of those suppliers. Maybe delivery time is an important one. Maybe cost is more important. So that's the first part of it. The second part, definitely, this has high value use cases for what you're talking about, Glenn. So maybe there's a way to shorten that demand forecast, or to use a demand forecast to be able to better predict what your future demand is going to be for the raw materials, as opposed to what you're selling. So there's actually two different use cases there. When am I going to need the raw materials? When am I actually going to sell this stuff? So that will help identify what the future trends could be and help you manage not only your inventory and your sales, but hopefully reduce your costs associated with that.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, Ed, it's staying quiet, so I think we're good. And again, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for taking the time to share your expertise, and thank you to Wavicle for being such a strong supporter of our DuPage County businesses and allowing you to do this today.
Well, thank you very much again for the opportunity. We look forward to continuously support Choose DuPage.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great day.
Have a great one.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.